Shiki hopped down from the last step and took Towa's hand, dragging her to the dining room. Towa gestured for me to follow. We took a seat at the dining table. Soon the cook arrived to serve dinner. After giving thanks for the food, we started eating. Itadakimasu. The family didn't seem to follow the rule of not talking at the dinner table. They had no stern father or cold mother to command them in this room. The sisters appeared to live alone. Aside from the servants, but anyway. What's being a private investigator like? A spoonful of meat still in my mouth, I quickly chewed and swallowed before answering her question. No. The details aren't great to talk about over food. I'm a private eye, so I'm not under the jurisdiction of police departments. I'm typically hired by private individuals to look into cases. There are plenty of folks who work with attorneys in cases or even just help investors look into ventures to keep their clients out of fraudulent deals. But I mostly deal with violent crimes and kidnappings. I winked my left eye. Due to that, I often do work with the police, but some of them, especially the police detectives, aren't a big fan of us since we get nosy in places that are afraid to be. Us? Well, I'm in charge of my own office now, but I used to work with a partner. Rather, the whole thing used to be led and owned by her. I stirred my plate with a spoon. Are you interested, detective? Or detectiving? Is that a word? Detectiving. It's always good to have another set of eyes on the team. If I could steal you from here. Eyes. Another set of... anyway. Thank you, but I'll just take over the family business and continue serving the stringless god. Not much else, I suppose. Shiki? Mm-hmm? Do you still want to be a novelist? I'm surprised you remember. It's just an old dream now. Standing up suddenly, Shiki pushed in her chair and made a little wave. I'm going to the bathroom. Want me to go with you? Nope, we're too old to go to the bathroom together. The toilet paper is the wrong way around again, and the pump on the right is hand cream, not soap. No, it's really the right way. I'm moving soap back to the right place, okay? I did say the moisturizer to take care of your skin, but don't put it there. Sorry, I forgot. Well, you two really get along. I'm an only child. What's the right way to put toilet paper? I guess the age-old debate. Do you put it away from you or towards you? I mean, I'm in the camp of towards, Shiki says it should be over. I don't really care, but, well, it's a silly story. I'd love to hear it. When we were younger, we got into a big argument over the toilet paper to the point where we just stopped using the toilet paper holder. I'm not sure if you've ever done that before. Actually, yes. We just have the toilet paper just on its own, by the way. Anyway, I thought back to the time Shoko broke my toilet paper holder while puking from a hangover. We ended up supergluing the thing back into the wall, and the landlord was quite upset. Maybe drinking too much was a bad idea, thinking back to the bad ending that we got. It's pretty inconvenient. So we compromised on using it the wrong way. Oh, that's kind of you, since I'm the older sister. By the way, could I ask about something unrelated? Dave. I don't know, your sister's blindness? I mean, that seems a little offensive. Your father's wife. She might not know much about that, though, but... I'm gonna choose this one. Your father's wife. Your father's wife, your mother. What type of person was she? What type of person could give birth to Mikami Itoha and these two girls? My father's wife. She passed away a long time ago. I never knew her. I heard she was a very business-oriented person, and their marriage was also very businesslike, even though the townspeople said they were also very loving. Father raised us with the servants. His main focus was the shrine. Thanks to him, the worship of the stringless god grew a lot. While it was always accepted in the town, it hadn't always been so popular. The head of the shrine, the Mikami head, used more those roles than her father. He was more of those roles than her father? Yeah. She raised her spoon to her soft lips, gently pressing it down as she paused to think. Keeper might know him better than I did. Keeper? I thought about the stringless woman whose age I could not determine. I had a hard time seeing her as a peer of an old man on that scrappy website. Yes, it's the same situation with that woman. You're investigating Mikami Itoha, aren't you? Mikami Itoha is dead. However, you don't believe it to be so simple. Why are you investigating that woman? The question reflected back to me. Mikami Itoha. Remembering the photo in my pocket, I took it out and passed it over to Towa. I'm searching for the truth about Mikami Itoha for this person's sake. My mentor Shoko. I mentioned that I had a partner, didn't I? She's the other figure in that photograph. She's dead now. Shoko grew up in this town. She moved to Teto for work, so I don't know if you ever met her. She's a bit older than both of us, a bit younger than Mikami Itoha. Mikami Itoha was to her a very precious person. I'm the only one who can do this for her, so before I die, I wanted to seek out the details about Mikami Itoha. Towa slid the photo back to me. I picked it up and looked at Mikami Itoha's cold face. Holding the photo in just a position to Towa made me see stark resemblance between them. This strange person who greatly resembles you two, your eldest sister? Shoko, I wonder if I knew her. Mikami Itoha once had a close friend, but Shiki and I didn't know her well. Just as there was a person who that woman would talk to, the only external person she would talk to. Since that woman never had strings, I didn't know what she felt about her friend. No, maybe they weren't friends, but something else. This was when we were very little, and that person stopped coming. But Mikami Itoha really did die, at least as a human. Looking into Towa's clear eyes, somehow I knew that she wasn't lying. I see. But like that last line though, about her like dying, but like as a human, that's incredibly suspicious. But nope, we're gonna gloss over that too. Anyway. As we sat in pensive silence, Shiki returned. We finished dinner. The food got cold as we were too engrossed in conversation, and I mentally apologized to the cook. Looking outside, I found the sky pitch black. I could walk back, but I wondered if I could find a taxi out here at this time of night. Would you like to stay over? I stopped to think for a few seconds before nodding. Thank you, if it won't be too much trouble. We have a lot of guest rooms. In this giant mansion. Pulling out my phone, I called the innkeeper to let her know that I wouldn't be there for the evening. Then I turned back to Towa. Afterward, Towa showed me around the house, walking through the long hallways and up the many stairs. I realized how much I appreciate the simplicity of a 1LDK. What does that mean? I actually don't know what that means. Obviously, that's an acronym for something. One large Donkey Kong. That's what I got from simplicity of a 1LDK. You know what? I have the power of the internet at the palm of my fingers. Or my hands? What's the word? The power of the internet on the palm of my hands. Yeah, not my fingers. What does 1LDK means? It means living, dining, and kitchen area. Oh, okay. Okay, is it described like an apartment? Okay. So what she means is that she's realizing how much she appreciates the simplicity of her own apartment. Because she probably has like a small apartment to herself, right? That's what she means. Compared to like a mansion where it's like super complicated. I mean, I would think, if I had a mansion, how would you like clean, like everything? It would take so long. But obviously, I guess if you have a mansion, you'll be like filthy stinking rich, most likely. So you would just have servants do it for you. Anyway, for one, my apartment had elevators. After a quick tour, Towa led me to a guest room. Actually, I thought that the Mikami family would have more of a Japanese-style compound. Well, since the shrine is a Japanese style. This is like a little sleepover. I haven't really stayed over at someone else's place for my age before. I suppose I was already too old for sleepovers. Well, Shoga and I pulled plenty of all-nighters and stayed over at each other's places. I haven't been much of a social animal as a child. I haven't either. Then I have to return the favor one day and invite you over. I'll look forward to it. Then she also let out a yawn. I suddenly had a thought. It'd be nice for her to smile and be happy. Good night. Good night. Towa left the room. Plugging my phone into the wall with a borrowed charger, I went to the bathroom to clean up and change to similarly borrowed pajamas. I rolled into bed and closed my eyes. Sleep came quickly. In the middle of the night, I tilted up in the bed and gasped. grasping at my chest, feeling the rough texture under the cloth. I couldn't remember what woke me up. I checked the time. I hadn't slept very long at all, but those two probably were in the realm of dreams. I could close my eyes again or get up. Okay, interesting. We have a choice to dream or to wander. Yeah, none of it matters, but sure. Let's walk around. I mean, that's usually what we do, right? Apologizing to Towa internally, I slipped out of bed, feet grazing the cool floor as I found my slippers. The halls were dim and silent, enveloped in quietude. Most of these rooms were unused. I cracked open an unfamiliar door, peeking in, and found a study of sorts. I promptly entered. As I did, I nearly tripped over an item on the floor. Whoa! I stumbled for balance, only to step on and slip again on the book stoutly thrown on the ground. Groaning, I waited for my eyes to adjust a little before continuing. The study was dark, so even as my pupils dilated, I couldn't make out much. I fell around the bookshelves, squinting. Amidst theological books for all the religions of the world, a few biology books and foreign language books, I found an inconspicuous journal squeezed in the cracks. On the cover was the owner's name, Mikami Yasunobu. As I started opening the journal, a photograph dropped out from beneath the pages. It fell to the ground with nary a whisper. I crouched down to pick it up, finding a picture of a woman. Even in the lack of light, I could tell she was a beauty. On the back of the photo was a love note with her name. This was Mikami Yasunobu's wife, Mikami Itoha's mother. She didn't look like the girls at all. Hoping that the wet paper would help me read the dark text inside, I opened the journal again. The dead man wrote of daily affairs, nothing much, a lamentation of Itoha's poor health and how special she was. Detective? I didn't read very far before a voice interrupted. Only one person called me that here. Fumbling with my hand for the wall for the light switch, I hit something that filled the study with brightness. I instantly regretted it as my eyes teared up from the sting of light. I saw an ice speaker in her head as she stabbed me. No, that looked more like an owl. Considering the situation, the difference likely had no bearing. I don't mind you investigating, but don't do things that might get Towa mixed up with it. Is that a threat? Maybe. You see, my sister is a kind girl, but there are terrible things in this town. Shiki lifted her hand to throw the owl. I squeezed my eyes shut, raising my arms before my face. How in the world was she going to aim that thing when she couldn't see? Thunk. Hearing the sharp sound beside my ear, I turned to see the tool embedded in the spine of a book. You shouldn't throw that type of thing at people. I know. I suppose I missed. Let's go back to bed, detective. Girls need their beauty sleep. Okay, attempted murder? She just attempted to kill me? Well, let's just ignore that too, we're just glossing over a lot of things, I feel like, as a detective, so don't worry about it. Monsters, don't worry about it. This girl just tried to murder me, don't worry about it. I guess it is their private property, how does property laws, or property laws work in Japan, I just know in America, especially in, I think, Texas, like you're allowed to kill anyone who tries to rob your house or something. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's what I've heard, or maybe that's just a stereotype, but I think that's what it is. Shiki tugged at my jacket and led me out of the study. Returning to bed, I had trouble falling asleep, but eventually morning came. I had breakfast together with the Mikami twins and headed out with Towa. Towa informed me that some members of the shrine were finishing the last-minute preparations for the thread-cutting and sword dance tomorrow. She'd go meet them and I tagged along. We went to the shrine early. Would you like me to cut another string for you, Mana? Sure. Even I was surprised at my easy response. I wanted to know more about the stringless god. I was willing to experiment with myself to see that feeling again. I don't really understand its freedom, but let's do it. Then shall we? She retrieved a chair from storage and let me sit down, repeating similar actions as the first string cutting. Taking an invisible thread between her fingers, she met my eyes with gold as if asking for confirmation. I nodded. Then she cut. Blank. It felt nice. I hugged Towa for a while without either of us saying a single word. Before long, a handful of townspeople gathered at the shrine. While working on final touches to some event details, they chatted about the dance and many miscellaneous topics, such as people who moved to the city. An older townsperson called out to group off to the side. Alright, okay, this is just normal. Just nice, peaceful, happy music. As these monsters just appear randomly. They approach a squad of monsters, dripping red and black, bursting out of human bodies in broad daylight. My shoulders stiffened and my body froze, but no one else was reacting. Drip, drip. What's this? That's totally just an illusion. Don't worry about it. This isn't real. How can this be real? It's all just genjutsu or whatever. Is that how you call it? I didn't know. Keeper, with her light hair, stood among this crowd as the only human, as she, like the others, had no strings. I'm glad to see you're so interested in the shrine. Sorry for intruding. No. We're very happy to have you here. Please, visit and spend as much time as you like at the shrine. Have you ever thought about becoming a priestess? Perhaps exploring the unknowns of not just the human world, but also the beyond. Your eyes are also special. They're wonderful. Everyone paused to stare at me, at my left eye, even Towa. The monster seemed to squint at it, glancing toward Keeper as if to ascertain her words' meanings. The many red eyes and teeth pointed towards me. Speaking of red eyes, these monsters have red eyes, she also has red eyes. Maybe there's a connection here. Our guest does have a golden eye. Maybe that's a blessing from the stringless god. If we could convince you to stay around, we'd have a 2-person dance again, or even 3. Really is a shame about the other priestess. The monsters buzzed. Bzz. Is that a big statement? Or isn't that a big statement even as a joke? Even as a joke? Well, the keeper says so, then everyone should be fine with it. Our priestess also likes you. I looked toward Keeper beseechingly, only to get a chuckle. I'm not joking. Please do think of it. The group chattered, buzzing and dripping, intermingling with human speech in a cacophony of sounds that filled my ears. I couldn't understand any of it. Keeper clapped, interrupting the noise. Now then, we've chatted long enough. Let's not bother the 2 girls and continue with the last of the preparations. It's either going to be a long day or a short day. We'll let the priestess practice before the dance. Keeper passed over a long wrapped object in her hand to Towa and then made a low wave. Bowing, Keeper led the others away. Left behind were only Towa and me. She unwrapped the long item, placing the cloth covering the ground, revealing a hard, dark object. A Japanese sword. A katana, even. Wow. With one smooth stroke, she unsheathed it, revealing shining metal. Is that a real sword? Yes. I reached out my right index finger to touch the blade. It's sharp. Don't touch it, Mana. She stopped my hand with hers, wrapping her soft, slender fingers around mine and gently pushing my arm down. Towa looked handsome holding a sword. I responded to that thought, my eyes suddenly getting warm. She's so cool with her Japanese sword. She has the power of God and anime. On her side. Will you dance for me? Do you want to see? Yes. She nodded and took a large step back, making space between me and her. Towa closed her eyes and raised the blade to cut an invisible something in the air, drawing an arc of light with the blade. After sweeping her arm to the side, she danced around an imaginary stage. The air seems to ripple, sparkling with infinite and shining colors. Light trailed after her like fairies, wanting to be seen by her pretty eyes. Her cutting movements came with not one hint of violence. Flying around the stage with soft footsteps, Towa showed me a dance of graceful swordplay. All invisible things were cut with a radiant blade. She glowed. If the world ever extinguished its light, then the world was wrong. Transient, the dance ended as soon as it started. Towa slowed her movements, raising the sword to the sky as if offering light, and lowered the blade, sheathing it. Towa walked toward me again. This dance should be for 2 people. Ever since Shiki's, we modified it. What does the other half look like? She took my blades into her own. My blades? No, she took my hands into her own. You should be like this. And led me. I stumbled in the steps of the choreography. We spun and danced across the imaginary stage with the sheathed sword nestled between her and my hand. She looked at me in the eye, her smile making my heartbeat quicken. She and I cut invisible things with a sword that could not cut, a sheath that was not sharp, yet our movements still glittered like droplets under the sunlight. I saw imprints of strings, the strings of the world, colors that made me abruptly think, this world was beautiful. Had this world always been so wonderful? I didn't know when we finished, if only I had a chance to see both priestesses perform. Afterward, Towa practiced some more. I lost track of time. I have something to show you. I'll show you Mikami Itoha. Her voice went very, very quiet for the last two words. Eh? Without saying another word, she led me around to the door I saw on my very first day. I had completely forgotten about it. At the time, I'm unable to uncover its secrets, because if I did, I would get backstabbed by that very same sword, I think. But I guess she's just showing us now? She opened the door to an endless flight of stairs, and we began to walk. Hand touching the cold wall, looking at her back in the dim lighting, I followed her through the darkness. No matter how many steps and turns we took, the end was nowhere. My knees began to ache, and my lungs hurt. Feeling embarrassed at how out of shape I was, I tried not to pant. Shiki does not know about this. Finally, she broke the silence, slowing her pace. Mikami Itoha is dead. She died, and she was buried in a private funeral. We were there to see as Mikami Itoha's remaining kin, so Shiki doesn't know about this. Then we continued down. Down and down. After endless steps, she stopped. I bumped into her back, only not falling over thanks to her steady posture. We had reached the floor. Passing through a section of darkness, eyes slowly adjusting, we made it to a cramped room. In the room sat a glass coffin. Well, there she is. Mikami Itoha. A woman who had been supposedly dead for years, yet not a cell run, like her empty grave. Her body had no strings that I could see. Is she alive? No. Mikami Itoha is dead. Towa traced her hand over the glass, then retracted it as if touching something disgusting. Indeed, the woman was not breathing, looking not a day older than the photo in my pocket. Mikami Itoha's unrotting corpse slept in a crypt beneath the shrine. But how? It's not scientific for a body not to rot. There are scenarios where they can be preserved well, but never this well. What is Mikami Itoha? I mean, yeah, you could for funerals, usually, what you do is that you take out all the organs and pump it through, you pump the body with a chemical or something like that to, preserve it for the funeral or whatever. What do you call it? I forget what you call it, but it's like a thing that, that you do. But I don't imagine that the body would be preserved for years, that'd be for a long time. Possibly with, ice, it was preserved in with cryogenetics or something like that. What's it called? I think that's what it's called. Anyway, what is Mikami Itoha? Shoko, you really did it this time. Mikami Itoha was dead. Mikami Itoha was not dead. What a thing to say at Shoko's grave. I found the person Shoko had been searching for, but this wasn't a satisfying conclusion. Deflated, I lowered my shoulders and sighed. Case closed? No, but I didn't know if I could find anything more. Thank you, Towa, for showing me this. I'm not sure what to say. No. She paused, also staring at Mikami Itoha. That's alright. Mikami Itoha is my mother. Mother? Wait. I thought it was their sister, but it's their mother? The woman who gave birth to us, incubating our cells of her cold body, and forcing us into the world, if that can be considered a mother. We are children of the Holy Woman. That was what both my father, her father, and Keeper rejoiced. Okay, so they're clones? What? Do you think that such children like us are unnatural, Mana? I looked at Towa, and took her hand, a warm and soft and shaking hand. No. You're a perfectly normal human being, not anything more strange than me or anyone else. If we're talking about the unnatural, shouldn't it be something more absurd like Susanoo, Amaterasu, or Amaterasu, and Tsukuyomi? Or the Greeks born from foam and foreheads? A popular stereo figure in that certain Abrahamic religion was also born in an unusual way. Like, are you talking about Jesus? Anyway, a pretty girl out of Sleeping Beauty isn't so bad. Or a pretty girl out of a Sleeping Beauty isn't so bad. You're prettier than her, though. If you're trying to cheer me up with flattery, it's working. It's not flattery, it's just the truth. That would let me poke around the small room for a while with the instruction on opening the coffin. I found no explanation for the sleeping dead woman. With nothing else I could do here, we made to leave. Okay, we're gonna gloss over the fact that there's a lot of things which is, I mean, again, it's already supernatural that they're about the whole string thing, right? About the fact that the main character can even see strings. So, I mean, we're already suspending our disbelief there, but it's just a lot of things we're just glossing over, I feel like. It's like, there's like a perfectly preserved dead woman in the basement of this shrine. Don't worry about it. Also, apparently, they somehow birthed like twins from her somehow. I don't know. No elevator in sight, we trudge all the way back up the stairs. I never want to lift my feet back and forth again. I see you visited the crypt. I apologize. No, our special guest is welcome to see our holy woman. The time for salvation is nigh. The dead will return, and everyone will become free with the grace blessing of the stringless god. I'm happy you can get closer to all of us, Shiryasage-mana. But I'd love for you to become part of this grand ritual of shining light, a third priestess. I had no idea what Keeper was talking about, yet a part of me believed in what she was saying, that a stringless god existed and it could be worshipped. What exactly was salvation? After all, these strings must have had meaning. I'm afraid I'm just a tourist. My invitation is always open. Have a good evening, the two of you. Tomorrow will be a good day. I followed Towa inside the shrine to the altar room, where she lit a candle and prayed. You should come over and have a few drinks with me. Sure. Do you drink often? She shook her head. Well, time to get blackout drunk. Anyway, after exiting the shrine building, we walked together to the inn and bought some alcohol. A few bottles of soju and of various flavors. The innkeeper greeted us when we entered the inn. Then we promptly made it to my room. Letting Towa take a seat, I set out our spoils. I asked her to choose a bottle. She pointed at random to a bottle of peach soju, so I cracked it open and poured her a drink. Or I poured her a cup. She poured me a cup as well. Cheers. Cheers. Kanpai. What for exactly? A case closed? I just want to get closer to you, Towa. That was the true, purpose of us being here. Getting a girlfriend, I guess? I don't know. I mean, she's really rich. Anyway. I also want to get closer to you, Mana. We drank, chit-chatting about random topics. I noticed at times she would simply raise a cup to her lips and sip if she didn't have anything particular to say. How do you like the flavor? It's like alcoholic juice. Does it really have 25% alcohol content? Maybe it's a little similar to soju. I like it. It's a relatively sweet type of alcohol, especially the flavored ones. I'm partial toward it since it's easy to drink with other people. Umishu and soju are nice too. I'm not a big fan of beer. I don't like barley tea too much either. You have a favorite drink? I don't know. I don't drink enough to know. I've only had the type that you can find with kanji scribbled all over the bottles. Even though your house is like that? We cracked open another bottle, this time the flavor yogurt. Yogurt flavored soju, I guess. It's a pretty popular mixes of yogurt and soda. Yogurt? Why mix? Because it tastes good? Sipping the yogurt flavored soju, she leaned on my shoulder and gazed at my face with a mysterious expression. Yummy? I wonder how she would react to whiskey. The first time I tried that mysterious golden drink, My tongue felt like it was on cold fire. Compared to soju, which went down like water, that drink packed a punch. Apparently I made a funny face that Shoku wished she recorded. Are you drunk? No, I'm not drunk. Towa buried her face in my shoulder and then peeked at me again. Somehow she seemed upset that I was still looking at her. Making a few mumbling sounds, she eventually lifted her head. I was probably also a little tipsy. Let's try cutting on the string. Experimenting. She haphazardly grabbed the string and snapped it without any ceremony. This is dangerous. What are you doing? This is like dangerous? You can't just cut strings of fate that easily. Anyway. Do not cut strings while drunk. Don't cut and drink, I guess. Anyway. Cut. It felt nice. It is yummy. She licked her lips, tip of her cute pink tongue sticking out. Do I seem like an older sister? Why? I'm a few minutes older, so I'm the older sister, but I can't protect Shiki ever. I'm so bad at it. I just keep messing things up. I want to give up. I just want her to be happy. I don't want to be left alone. Our mother's not human, or, she's like a living corpse, and our father was just a name only. I don't think she wants to be protected by you, but I want to protect her. It's my fault that she got hurt, that she can't see anymore. She's my precious little sister. I don't want her to be held down by fake strings. I want her to also be safe, but what if she's right? What if it doesn't matter? I'm choosing the right choice, or the wrong choice, rather. Because even if we're not free, we can still be sisters. Is Shiki happy? Do you think she hates me? No, there's no black string between you two. Should I trust you? But I like you, so I'll trust you. But don't betray my trust, Mana. Towa tugged on my jacket sleeve and narrowed her watery eyes. I also puke on you, but... Well. Bleh. Just kidding. Don't hate me. I would never. I like you very, very much, Towa. I like when you call my name. Okay, this is getting too saucy. Anyway. Wobbling back and forth, Towa leaned on me again. She closed her eyes, placing her head on my shoulder, a cute pink dusting her cheeks. A slight guilt pierced my heart at making this girl drunk. I had realized her tolerance was so low. I ignored the Shoku in my head telling me that we were both alcoholics. I was perfectly normal since I go around puking in other people's toilets. That's the standard, I guess. I lightly shook Towa's shoulder. I ascertained that she seemed alright. Teary golden eyes gazed toward me, shaking as she nodded slowly. Do you want some water? I got up, gently removing her hands as she had wrapped around my arm. After pouring her a cup of warm water, she returned to my seat beside her. I held up the cup to her lips to help her drink. After having some water, Towa closed her eyes and cuddled against my shoulder again. Somehow I managed to get her into a futon. She catch a cold and she fell asleep on me. I was such a cold person that I seep away her warmth because I'm literally a vampire. Brushing her hair out of her face, I pulled the covers over her body. Good night. She was really cute. Okay, I'm just getting flashbacks from Fate's Day Night. We have to always describe the main romantic how do you say the main I was gonna say romantic targets. I don't know if that's the right word, but the main waifus. Like every time we have to describe them as beautiful and cute and like amazing. Every line has to be how great they are and everything. I don't know. I'm just getting annoyed by that. Anyway, she was really cute. I noticed her expression appeared much more relaxed as she slept, breathing softly. She must have been thinking a lot. I don't know. I don't know why I'm annoyed by that, but I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. It's just cheesy, I guess. That's what it is. It's cringe, Anyway, was Towa happy? I don't know. But we do know that she's drunk, though. I decided to go to bed as well, more comfortable than usual. I closed my eyes. Sleep came quickly. In the end, I woke up in the middle of the night. I headed to the bathroom and took a quick shower. Feeling hot water run past the rough marks across my skin, I saw Frankenstein's monster reflected in the shower glass. I wiped myself off and started putting on a change of clothes. Underwear first and shirt. I prefer that over to dressing. With my shirt partway my shoulders, hands wiggling through the sleeves, I heard a sound. The door cracked open, letting the bathroom light filter out of the room. Towa groggily peeked inside. I clutched my shirt over myself, knowing that I wouldn't hide anything. All these scars were in plain view, ugly and red. Get out! My voice escaped my mouth more harshly than intended. Noting in surprise, she quickly closed the door. I don't know what sort of me was reflected in those clear golden eyes for the moment. I promptly got dressed and exited the bathroom to find Towa. Mana, I'm sorry you had to see that. I should apologize for forgetting to knock. No, it's alright. I traced over the various scars hidden underneath my clothes, fingers trembling as they felt texture, not like shirt over smooth skin. It's dirty, so you should just forget it. You probably didn't expect to see something so ugly underneath there. It's probably disappointing. She shook her head and stared me in the eyes. Mana, don't you know that having scars in the anime is like badass, you know? It's like, why? Anyway, Mana, you're beautiful. You have beautiful shining eyes. The girl with beautiful eyes said to me. Okay, and then we kissed? No, okay. The next day came and passed by in a blur. Don't worry about it. In the evening, I visited locations of the thread-cutting sword dance. Groups of townspeople had already arrived and were still coming. I stood somewhere in the middle of the crowd, everyone looking with anticipation toward a highly constructed wooden stage. Strings crisscrossed across my whole vision, connecting the many, many people here. The entire town seems to come to watch. Soon, Towa appeared on the stage with her sword. Towa began to dance, holding a sword in her hand. She swept the sword through the air, not too fast and not too slow, as if offering light to a god. The air crackled with infinite colors, leaving everyone enraptured. All chatter disappeared. I could take out my phone to record, but I didn't want to gaze at this scene through a camera. My eyes, mismatched and strange, were fixed on her figure. She danced across the stage, graceful steps making not a sound, even the signs of the crowd's bated breath. With that sharp blade, she cut invisible strings. She was like a fairy and sparkled. I think such a beautiful person with such beautiful movements existed in this world. I liked her very, very much, not just her outside, but also her heart. Then I saw them. Although strings hung taut in the air, a nearby section of the crowd had nothing but monsters whose many, many eyes gazed at Towa. Hey, you who are looking at the scene right now, the drifting black and red, the empty space of no emotion, the unknown that made my heart scream in fear. Did monsters really exist in this world? Again, we have this question. Nah, monsters aren't real. Totally. Monsters are just whatever, right? This had to be an illusion. This had to be an illusion. I backed out of the crowd, mumbling apologies to those I bumped into. My left eye hurt, twitching as if it was about to burst. No matter how many times I blinked, the irritation did not subside. I hadn't gotten dust in my eye after all. I clutched at it and hissed, feeling it throbbing against my palm. My eye hurt. My eye really hurt. It hurt. It hurt, it hurt, it hurt. Wetness stained my palm, creating a strange warm sensation. An unknown liquid ran down my left cheek. I didn't know what it was. It wasn't tears. I didn't want to know what it was. I didn't want to take my hand off my face. For some reason, I looked into the crowd. Through gaps in my fingers, I saw a person who had been purified recently. He died. He didn't die. His body fell. His body didn't fall. Overlapping images pounded through my head. Gritting my teeth, I saw his body not only fall in that transparent displacement, but also be crushed to pieces like meat under a presser. Invisible red seemed to splatter over the crowd around him. His flesh no longer resembled human, but rather ground meat, but a sole finger that had been missed bounced on the grass. He was gone, he was there. His human body intersected with the mixed red goop. When I blinked, the slot reformed and rose. From his body, a monster hatched. I felt myself going mad. I dug my nails into my brow. No one else seemed to see. That person just died. He just died and no one else saw anything as the body stood, puppeted by something terribly inhuman. An angel crushed him, and he became a monster. I was right. I had a fleeting glance of an angel. An angel. I gasped. Holding my left eye, I begged myself to believe that I wasn't holding it literally in my palm. I found myself struggling to breathe. hyperventilating as all equilibrium left me. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be real. I rejected everything that the golden eye saw. I rejected. What a shame. I rejected. You won't see it. Then, I didn't see. Daga. Kotowaru. Alright. So I think that's what happens when you keep choosing illusion. Anytime it comes up, I guess she keeps rejecting, the idea of monsters to the point where she literally gouges her eye out. Alright, and that leads to another dead ending. Great. Alright, so we're back all the way here. This is the first time, technically the second time, that we see the monster actually. But this is the first time we actually see the monster, come out of the human body, I guess. Assumedly because all the strings were cut. That's very suspicious that that's the case, right? And maybe Towa doesn't know that? Strange. But anyway, this time we're not going to reject what the eye sees. We're going to confirm that this is real. This is reality. No, this was reality. I trusted in my eyes, which saw the black strings of hatred. Not one of these monsters had strings of human emotion. They only had red that dripped from their bodies, connecting to their human hosts. If I hadn't had much more horrifying matters to worry about, I'd be unnerved by the stringlessness. My chest ached. My heartbeat became irregular. I took a deep breath and, seeing the conversation come to a lull, posed the question. You believe in monsters? No. There's no such thing as monsters. Alright, so I assume it goes the same way, so I'm gonna start skipping. Alright. This time, let's dream. Why not? Instead of wandering around and almost getting murdered by Shiki, let's maybe have a dream. Even though that's usually a bad thing, though. Don't we usually dream about getting beat up by a guy? And that's how we got sent to the hospital? Was I dreaming? I slipped out of bed, forgetting to put on my slippers, and walked out of the guest room into the city. Oh, okay. Finding myself in my work office, I walked around. I noticed a messy manila folder on the desk with Shoko's handwriting all over it. In fact, the desk looked similar to when Shoko had been using it. Atop the folder was a quick note complaining about the children. Inside were a number of files from the Stringless God. Shoko noted similarities to a European belief and a cult in the Mediterranean that was exported to the American East Coast. At the same time, she mentioned that the shrine had existed in her town for centuries. Salvation, rebirth, sacrifice. Those were terms often highlighted in the crumpled and re-smoothed notes in the folder. Sifting through the papers, I found a cutout of Mikami Itoha's obituary from the local paper, as well as a medical document that had no clue how Shoko got her hands on. Mikami Itoha was sickly, born of a degenerative heart disease that started worsening after her teens. Hereditary from this chromosome on that section, the document stated. That was the story, and because of that, Mikami Itoha died. Was that so? How creative my nighttime hallucinations were. I saw a figure in the shadows and approached. Shoko? Unable to see in the darkness, I called out for Shoko. It wasn't Shoko, not even in my dream. It was an indistinguishable person. Male? That person had no strings. His shape started to become more monster than human, growing more and more familiar by the second. I backed away, waist quickly hitting the desk. He stabbed me, flinging my body over the desk in the city streets, as if I had smashed through the windows of the office. Not again. The setting switched to daytime. My head cracking on the asphalt. The dream returned to the same mode. I started preparing to count the number of stabs. Do you see me? And he spoke even though I had never remembered him speaking. With your golden eye. Stab. Stab, 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 stab. When morning came, I fell out of bed, neck covered in cold sweat. Alright, and I think that's the same as usual. Alright. And then go back here. Thinking about the strange feelings that rushed my body as my string was cut, I shook my head. I would become strange. Okay. I would become strange. Okay, this is the part where she cuts another string for us. It's funny how I would become strange, as in I think that's a Japanese phrase, as in maybe getting addicted, to the cutting. I guess it's like a drug metaphor. I don't know. Anyway. No, thank you. There's a correct order for events, and I think now's not the right time. Okay, this time we're actually rejecting the string being cut. That's interesting. Towa nodded. Alright, then we'll look. At that digression, I couldn't help but think of the man who put me in the hospital for such a long time. What is that? Although he did not resemble a human in my memories, the profile I was shown was indeed human. I asked if they knew him. A youth who once fancied Mikami Itoha, a moderately pious person they described him as such. Townspeople mentioned the man's move to the city and lamented his involvement in some sort of violent crime, which involved us, actually. They had no idea that the victim was before them. I didn't bother continuing the thread, so the conversation drifted once more. Okay. An older townsman called out the group to the side. More monsters! Whee! Once again, this time, let us say that this is reality. This had to be real. I was such an insecure person that doubted the eyes that I built my livelihood up upon. What a terrible thought. How was I supposed to deal with monsters that only I could see? Well, people with our light hair stood amongst the crowd, the only human, and channel strings, and now, one more time, do we see these monsters as real or fake? Well, they're real. This was reality. Towa finished the dance. I seemed to see all the strings in the world for a moment. There are many, many, many colorful strings of different shades, different thickness, different opacities. The crowd was silent. Then they all began to applaud, cheering out for the perfect performance, and beginning a celebration by breaking out food and drinks. Even now, no one noticed the monsters, so I looked away. It seemed only I could see the monsters. I wanted to figure out what they mean, having always seen black lines that no one else could. I wasn't surprised that it would exist yet another oddity only I could see. These monsters were real. I thought about my schedule. I had planned my trip to end soon as, financially speaking, I couldn't stay here forever. I finished my initial goal as well. My scars pulsed, reminding me of my poor physical state. Imagining if I had to confront the monsters, I shuddered. Here, I had no backup because I wasn't on an official case, private or in contract with law enforcement. If I claimed to see monsters, they instantly send me to an insane asylum. That's always the case. Anytime like a protagonist, has special powers and they see like things that other people don't. I'd soon be back in Teto. Why did a pang of loneliness hit? Walking away from the rambunctious crowd, I spotted Towa coming off the back of the stage. I followed after her, not bothering to call out. Keeper appeared and began to speak with Towa. I could hear their conversation from my distance. Towa then dropped to her knees. Seeing her shoulders tremble, I dashed over. I placed my hands steadily around her and hugged her. Mana? Her voice cracked. I looked toward Keeper, furrowing my brow in question. My brow in question. I didn't know what Keeper could say to make Towa look as she was able to cry. Our other priestess has passed away. Oh, Shiki. Towa sharply breathed in. What? Mikami Shiki is dead. A whimper. She passed away due to an undetected heart disease, heart failure so to say. It is an illness that runs in the Mikami family that has taken her away as well. But be at ease for the time of salvation will come, and all will be well soon enough. I've never heard such bullshit before. What? Keeper shook her head and began to walk away. She turned back to us and gestured politely with a bow. Please, follow me. I supported Towa back to her feet, and we trailed after Keeper. She walked away from the stage area, leading us up a familiar flight of stairs. Keeper took us to the shrine and brought us inside. There lay Shiki on the ground. Her hands were placed crossed upon her chest. If I hadn't known to look for her breathing, I would have thought that she was sleeping, albeit in an unusually stiff position. But she wasn't breathing. Shiki was dead. Suddenly just got killed off screen. Or, well, killed, but, died, rather, at least according to the Keeper, anyway. Towa rushed over to her sister's side, only to be blocked with Keeper's arm. Tears dripped silently down Towa's face, as she stared pleadingly at the keeper. I tried stepping forward and was stopped as well. No one may touch her body. Why? Because that is what must be done for her to receive blessings. After speaking, Keeper pushed the two of us outside the shrine building and closed the door. Nearly collapsing again, Towa clung to my jacket, shaking her head back and forth as if completely lost in this world. Her voice trembled. Don't leave. I don't want to be alone. I slowly pried her tight fingers off my jacket and embraced her. I won't leave. You want to stay with me tonight? I imagined her alone in that large house without her sister. It would be too painful, too cruel to leave her there. She nodded into my chest, wetting my shirt with her silent tears. Alright, it's just like... every visual novel has like a romance element. I always feel these relationships, just progress very fast, I gotta say. Like, we had like one date, maybe, ish. One day, we had like a sleepover, and maybe one date, and suddenly, I don't know, anyway. We're just very close, that's all I'm saying. We walked to the inn together. Luckily, the innkeeper was absent from the front, so we slipped by without showing anyone. Towa was red in eyes. I had Towa take a seat in my inn room. Pouring her a cup of warm water, I gently rubbed her back, hoping to calm her down. There wasn't much I could do given that she had just learned of her sister's death. I'll help you investigate what happened to your sister, I promise. My fault. No. A dam broke. It's my fault. Why? Towa, it's not your fault. Oshiki's dead. My sister. She's never gonna do anything again. I'm sorry. Loud sobs eventually returned to soft sniffles. Nothing I could say or do would console Towa that Shiki's death couldn't be her fault. She rubbed her eyes raw. Neither of us could sleep well. Returning to the shrine the next morning, we heard a commotion even from the bottom step of the stairs. Okay, who's this person? A crowd had gathered. Keeper stood at the front to make an announcement, and beside Keeper stood a woman. Is that Mikami Itoha? Maybe? Eh? No. Mikami Itoha stood next to the Keeper. She breathed and blinked, did otherwise the activities of a living human being. She really is Jesus. She literally... she has been resurrected. She was a dead woman, yet she was alive. The photo in my pocket burned. From the distance, Mikami Itoha glanced toward me. Her eyes met mine, filling my throat with a burning, freezing fear. I looked away. Towa weaved through the crowd to reach the front. I followed, still avoiding Mikami Itoha's eyes. The time for salvation is here. Our holy woman has returned to us, brought back from the dead. The stringless God's blessing upon us all. We will have freedom and light. We will all be saved from the false strings that puppet humanity. And finally, we will reach the shining world. Each and every one of us will have that which we most yearn for, our deliverance from suffering. Mikami Itoha approached me and lightly tapped above my right eye. I recoiled in surprise, and my right eye warped in pain. The crowd gasped as Keeper suddenly took my shoulders in her hands and turned me to face the townspeople. She is blessed. Her eyes have become golden. Shirasagi Mana has been given the glory of priestesshood for the final ritual that will make all right in this world. Today will be salvation. Even the colors crossed over my vision. There are many, many, many strings, not just my familiar black strings of hate. The townspeople cheered, then fell into prayer. Okay? I guess. We unlocked our superpowers? Is that how it works? Please be on with your daily activities. We must complete the final ritual in private. The next time you wake up, the world will already be saved. So please, rejoice and enjoy. Yorokobe. After dispersing the crowd, Keeper brought Towa and me to a hidden door behind the shrine. She opened it to a deep stairway. Mikami Itoha descended first, her back disappearing into the darkness. Towa and I entered next. Keeper closed the door behind us, cutting off the sunlight, leaving us with only dim lights and stony walls. Walked down and down and down. Keeper, will salvation bring Shiki back? Yes. In this darkness I saw few strings. Neither Keeper nor Mikami Itoha had a single string of any color connected to their bodies. A lingering headache from sensory overload made time seem to fly by. Walking, we eventually reached the end of the steps. Alright. The Keeper led us through a doorway, a different place in the crypt where Mikami Itoha once slept. It was a strange room, a holy room. The ground was carved out with a pit too deep to see the bottom. I didn't want to see the bottom, feeling my heart beat erratically, not from the exercise I just had, but from whatever was hidden in that pitch black abyss. It was something cold. It was looking at the light. Hey, we're monsters. Demons stood in many corners of the room, accompanied by Keeper and Mikami Itoha, who already moved into their places. I saw one other human figure. Shiki? Towa dashed over to that person, the girl who looked just like her. Towa. Shiki had died yesterday, but now she was alive, but she was now alive once, standing before us and talking, even making an expression like helplessness as Towa hugged her. Had I hallucinated her dead body yesterday? Then I found something terribly wrong about the girl before me. Whatever she was, it wasn't Shiki. It was the same as Mikami Itoha, the same as the pit. It wasn't Shiki. It couldn't be Shiki. Because Shiki wasn't so cold and emotionless. You're so cold. Towa held her sister's hands, rubbing them lightly to warm them up. When I approached the two, I felt the air temperature drop and shuddered. Looking up, I didn't see any sort of air conditioning vents around. How? This is the stringless god's blessing. I understand. The stringless god didn't abandon us even though she was punished. The stringless god is merciful and kind. I'm so grateful. Now then, before we can truly celebrate, we must complete the final ritual to salvation. Won't you join us? Keeper handed Towa the ceremony sword, and I lit a candle. Let there be light. Led into place, we started the ritual. We're just gonna go along with this, I guess. Towa performed the gestures as Towa directed as I held the candle, watching in trepidation as the wax melted and the light danced far too wildly. No wind reached this place, and even my unsteady hands could not make a candle flame distort as it did before me. The wax that touched my fingers was cold. The air congealed and warped. The darkness in the pit overflowed, rushing past my legs with chill. It felt like gas, yet my skin screamed that black sludge was burning through my shoes. I hastily looked down, squinting to see that nothing was wrong with my legs. It was only darkness, the color that did not reflect light. This was a stringless thing. I don't think this will work out the way I wanted it to. I'm sorry. Can I tell you something selfish? I nodded. I fell in love with you, Mana. It only took like a few days, but... well, it wasn't like just a few days, I guess. But I don't know, anyway. If I could see the strings connected to my own body, then I'm sure there would be a red string of fate between us. That's the one thing normal people have gotten right. It's the color of love. Of course it is. Looking at our hands, I saw the warm red string connecting our fingers. Unlike the color of blood, the red was terribly warm. I see it. You can see the other colors too. Because of what happened to your eyes, I see. I also like you very much. No, it's called love, isn't it? I also found love with you. I'm so happy. But I have something I need to take care of. Shiki doesn't have any strings. I looked toward Shiki, who now stood amongst the monsters, prostrating themselves toward the abyss. They were like compasses, every piece of them pointing to the depths. Not a single figure there had a single string. Yes, she doesn't. Shiki doesn't have any strings, not to anyone, not even to you. Because dead people can't come back to life, no matter how much I want them to. I know my sister, my twin sister, the two halves of one whole. That's not my sister. I want her to believe, but I can't. I'm going to do something you might not approve of. You can report me to the police if you want. Eh? What? Breaking from the motions Keeper directed, Towa gripped the sword tightly in her hand. She rushed over to Shiki and stabbed her little sister's body in her chest. Because that wasn't Shiki. She backstabbed, just like we got backstabbed in an alternative timeline. A harsh cold swept through the darkness, now lapping at my waist. I sputtered, choking on the mist that floated up to my nose, and it seemed to meet eyes with the colorful black. Why do you want to kill me? You're not my little sister. However, the flesh and blood is the same as yours. I am Mikami Shiki. Don't use my little sister's body. Towa ripped the blade out of Shiki's body, and it collapsed like a puppet without strings. Blood pooled out to the ground beneath the girl who should have been sleeping. That shade of red didn't fit her, not like the red dress she liked to wear. A tear dripped down Towa's cheek. I rushed over to her side, chucking the candle in my hand to the ground. The erratic flame disappeared, smothered by the ground. Towa? I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. She looked down at her sister's body and dropped the sword of her trembling hands. You shouldn't do that. The ritual seemed to fail, the black haze disappearing. Monsters shifted to surround us. Mikami Itoha stopped them by doing nothing more than approaching us. Her bare feet slid along the ground without a single sound. I placed myself in front of Towa. Do you truly prefer to take the more difficult path? Then I will grant you your wishes. Even the pitiful little creatures should be given a choice, a reward for all that they have done. This is a shining world. She touched both our foreheads. Cut. Then Mikami Itoha and the monsters turned to dust. Their infinitesimally small fragments blew away, that's a hard word to say, disappearing into the void. When I looked for their last companion, Keeper, he was nowhere to be found. Even the depths of the pit had disappeared. At that time, we had to realize what had gone wrong. A low rumbling filled the walls, followed by a sharp creak. The world began to shake around us, sending me tumbling into Towa. The floor and ceiling crumbled as they shook, the thin cracks growing larger each second. We have to go. I grabbed her hand and tugged, but Towa would not budge. I don't want you to die too, let's go. Shiki's body is here. What about me? What am I? Do you understand how much I want to be happy? I want you to be happy and live and smile? We will be buried alive, we stayed. I don't want her to be crushed by rock and darkness, never to feel the warmth of sunlight again. She hadn't had a chance to live life yet, a chance to be carefree and happy for many, many years, and grow old surrounded by good things. I was selfish. I wanted to see her happiness. Mana? Rocks tumbled from the ceiling, bouncing next to us. The ground around the pit fell to pieces, deep cracks running through the stone. Shiki's body slowly slipped into the void. Towa watched silently as her sister vanished forever. She held my hand back and took a step forward closer to me. Her pretty golden eyes, covered with a film of tears, met mine as if seeking reassurance. I nodded. Then we fled, turning my head one last time. I saw the stringless god. Well, never mind that. The low hum of the engine and the clickety clack of the wheels along the rail filled the train compartment. The tickets in our pockets had the destination written as the station in Teto. My luggage was stored in the overhead compartment, along with a single bag of our personal items. My right eye had returned to normal. However, I could no longer see the black strings of hate. Regardless of which human I gazed at, not a single person has strings of any color. I'm sorry. I couldn't fulfill my promise to you. I'm sorry. I held her hand and closed my eyes. Can you become my anchor, Mana? I shook my head slowly, feeling her tremble against my shoulder. I couldn't find the right words to say. Her voice lowered to an even quieter whisper. Such an ugly world. I don't know why Shiki loved it. Alright, I guess it ends there. You know, sometimes transitions is kind of like, it happened a little bit too quickly. Anyway, but I guess, yeah, there you go. Okay, so the ritual failed? And I don't know what happened to the Keeper, I guess, which seems to be the main antagonist. You know, they want to like do this whole ritual that creates like a perfect world, I assume, where nobody has any strings. But obviously, Ironically, I feel like they're just being controlled by the stringless god, right? Instead. But anyway, they seem to have disappeared into the void, and mana and why am I blanking her? I'm blanking on her name for some reason, even though we just had a scene of her. The girl of the sword, the girl of the golden eyes. I know Shiki. I remember. What's her name? Why can't I remember her name? Why am I just literally going senile at this very moment? Bleh. Anyway, this girl. I can't remember her name. But yeah, they both escaped, and it's kind of like bittersweet, but they ended up together anyway, right? So, it kind of works out. They kind of ran away, but at least monsters won't chase after them anymore. Maybe, I don't know. Towa. I don't know why Towa. I don't know why I can't remember Towa for some reason. I don't know. I just don't see the word Towa very often, actually. Anyway, let's see if we can get a different outcome, though. All right. So, doing some time traveling, I believe we can choose a different option here to change the course of events. Let's see. So instead of asking, her father's wife, let's ask about Shiki's blindness. What happened to her? Does she know? Is she willing to divulge that information? Let's see. Was your sister always blind? Immediately after the words left my mouth, I regretted my question. Wasn't that too sensitive a question to ask? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I didn't ask it. I slapped my hand over my face and quickly shook my head, watching as Towa looked down at the table, her long lashes covering the emotion in her golden eyes. No, never mind. Sorry for asking. No. She lifted her head. She used to be able to see. We're identical twins, so the color of her eyes is the same, and there wasn't any reason for her to be born without eyesight. Shiki had the prettiest eyes because they were always shining. She's someone who gives me hope, not like the stringless god's hope for freedom and salvation, but something warmer that only family can give you. It's my fault that she can't see anymore. She was punished. By who? The stringless god, and... Well, I won't trouble you with this information. No, I'm sorry for asking. You're actually quite a kind person, even though you're nosy. I get that feeling from your strings. You're investigating Mikami Itoha, aren't you? Okay. Oh, hey, you're Shiki. Shiki, at this particular time and place, didn't she, die of a heart attack or whatever? But now she's here. What do you feel about her performance? Shiki's voice interrupted my unease at the monsters. Noticing my body move as I turned to look at her, she quickly tugged at my jacket, pointing to her sister on stage. Towa danced, sword in hand, light upon her body shining. Beautiful. She's beautiful. That's a given. Her movements gradually slowed as if she were offering her radiance to the sky. Her eyes seemed to meet mine, warm like the sun even in the night. My chest ached with reluctance for the dance's ending. The crowd applauded vigorously. I clapped and wondered if Towa would even be able to notice the sounds of her hands. I wanted this moment, the night lit by her, to last forever. In the way that my heart fluttered, I knew that her ears must have been quite red. You really like my sister. You see, you're kind of obvious, detective. Shiki reached out through the air, fingers running along an invisible line, as Towa on the stage exited the performance section to the hidden back. Taking the end of my jacket's self-belt in her hand, Shiki led me away from the crowd. Towa, congratulations. Shiki, Mana. It was a wonderful performance. You were really pretty. Thank you. So you came to watch. Let's go together. Alright, so this time she's not a corpse, So that's a big change. At her cue, we headed to the shrine. Entering the building, we arrived at a familiar room with an altar. Towa struck the match, lit the candle, and prayed. Perhaps even the flames were excited for her wondrous performance as they flickered more than usual tonight, bringing about a haze in the room. My right eye stung for a moment. Bringing a hand to rub it, I wondered if the candle's vapor had penetrated into the blue. What type of candle is this? A sense of deja vu washed over me. Just as soon as the haze appeared, it disappeared, leaving but a whiff of sweetness on my nose. The candle is just a symbol of light. It's not a special candle? A symbol of light means that it's any random wax candle can be lit. The matches are also normal matches. Sorry to disappoint, Detective. No, I was just curious. I blinked away the last of the fog in my eyes, and then I saw strings. The myriad of colors burned themselves into the world, connecting people just like the black strings of hate, thin and thick. They gave me a slight headache, even as I noticed a special string between me and Towa. After a casual conversation, I parted with the sisters. Alright. This time it's kind of like, no like drama, I guess. Not much happened, just hang out with the sisters. So, I returned to my inn and passed through the empty entranceway for the innkeeper. I returned to my inn and passed through the empty entranceway, for the innkeeper was also out enjoying the festivities that came with the thread-cutting sword dance. I soaked in the hot springs and went through a mundane nighttime habit before rolling into my futon. We can always soaking in the hot springs every time. I mean, I guess while we're here, might as well take advantage of the hot springs, I guess. As usual, I fell asleep immediately. The night was dreamless. Considering that my booking for the inn was soon to be up, I contemplated extending this trip as I woke up the next morning. My wallet couldn't handle much of an extended vacation. Choco, I had completed her task to the extent that I could. Now it was time to return back to work, the office that I inherited and helped build up. Towa's face floated to my mind. I decided to make a last visit to the shrine, only to hear a commotion the moment I stepped onto the stairs. Trudging up the steps, lamenting the existence of stairs, I noticed a crowd gathered. They chattered loudly, shorter than the people in the back pushing to get forward. Alright, so here you go. This is happening again, but again, this time, Shiki's alive. I looked to the front and saw Keeper along with three very similar people. Mikami Itaha, stringless. The dead woman was standing, breathing, alive beside Towa and Shiki. From a distance, her unnatural eyes met mine, filling my lungs with cold. Keeper's voice leaked through my ears as she made a grand proclamation to the gathered townspeople. The time for salvation is here. Our holy woman has returned to us, brought back from the dead. The stringless god's blessing upon us all. We'll have freedom and light. We'll all be saved from the false strings that puppet humanity. And finally, we'll reach the shining world. Each and every one of us will have that which we will most yearn for, our deliverance from suffering. Dismissing the crowd, Keeper led the twins away to follow after Mikami Itaha. I kept my eyes on them and walked behind them stealthily, using my, stealthy skills. I have 100 in stealth, you see. They opened a door in the back of the shrine and descended down dark stairs. Sneak, sneak, sneak. I waited, then opened the door, which was left unlocked, and started down the stairs as well. Okay. Much more of this place than I thought. I mean, well, we already saw like the crypt, right? We saw the crypt, and we also saw that big hole. So I thought that was it, but there's actually a lot to this place. After a long descent, I finally reached the ground. Not too far away was a monster. I pressed myself against the wall, holding my breath so as not to be heard. The monster walked away, human body dragging against the ground as the black and red puppeted. Drip, drip, drip. It must have been patrolling, but for what? Clutching at my racing heart, I shifted my eyes from left to right and ascertained no monster was in sight. I was safe to check my most important hit in the moment. Attached to my finger was a red string. That's surely of affection, a special emotion. That's very convenient. This was connected to Towa. I had to admit that I liked women. You don't say! I had to admit that I liked women, beautiful women, but this feeling of like that grew to love was more than just a matter of her outside appearance. She was kind, filled with softness hidden behind a blunt exterior. She was very kudere, She worried too much, but I wanted her to be happy. That was probably love. Even the string said so. Keeping an eye out for the monsters, I followed along the string. I walked through many twists and turns, wondering if the string pathfinding chose a long route. The red string led me to a door. Placing my hand on the handle, I found it unlocked and entered. I instantly knew that I entered through the wrong door. Uh-oh. and I looked out from the abyss. I stumbled into darkness. What? When light finally entered my eyes again, I found myself in a part of the town that had passed by but not lingered at in any sense. A station. Someone was already waiting there. As my shadow, a shape not quite like my own, with a luggage-shaped shadow companion approached her, she turned, showing a familiar face. You're late. If you truly intend to leave for the city, then you should arrive earlier for the bus. No. The person she was speaking to responded with words that I was not privy to. I see. Choco, you. A four-letter word in English. I couldn't hear that very important word that left her lips softly, and what could it be? I knew this woman's gaze at this moment was much gentler than the cold depths I saw before. Mikami Itaha was missing something very important as a human being, yet she already had another more important thing. Choco, was this the person you were searching for? The dream shattered. Boom. And I met the eye in the darkness again. A sequence of snapping sounds popped in my ears, followed by the sensation that all my strings had been stripped from my body. My mind went blank. Did this feel good? Something was stripping out of me. Not screams, nor tears, but something very important was hollowed out, polarized, and leaking out from my heart. So cold, so hot, so cold, so hot. Is that like a song? Anyway, I couldn't even scream as I crumpled to the ground, holding myself for some sense of reality. My fingers should have hurt as they clutched my arms. No, I didn't want my fingers to fall off. Don't fall off, I still have things to do with them. Like play video games. My head rolled to the ground. In my head. Ugh. And the eyeballs bounced like rubber, rotating to see the light. I saw an angel. Ah yes, a biblically accurate angel. It was a beautiful thing. It was a terrifying thing. It looked at me as if identifying a virus meant to be quarantined and then promptly eradicated. The angel warped, shining yet terrible, to begin the execution. A countdown from a number over 1,000 began, ticking with an unseen clock. The light distorted. I tasted sour running up my throat and tried not to puke, gagging on nothing but by air. Why did I see this thing? The darkness was terrifying. The light was terrifying. No matter if I opened my eyes or closed them, everything was terrifying, so I couldn't even gouge them out. The numbers reduced one by one each second, causing my chest to tighten, my scars to burn. I forcibly turned my gaze away from that which stood in the corner of my vision. Before me was a strange room, a holy room. In it was a pit of darkness with no end, surrounded by monsters and four human figures. Shiki and Towa held swords, performing some sort of ritual. Okay, they're doing the dance. Black mist flowed out from the abyss and lapped at my feet, burning and freezing, yet so much like an illusion that my clothes and skin were completely untouched. This was bad. This was very, very bad. I wanted even to ask the angel why I did not see these demons and this great evil. I found my voice. Stop! I rushed toward the twins, running along the edge of the wall. At that moment, the world began to distort with the entity in the depth, rising in the realm, not like that of humanity. It was rising. It was not rising. I saw and I did not see. As if strings had been cut from a puppet, the body of Mikami Itaha collapsed. The monsters all prostrated themselves to the depths. Keeper also bowed deeply, her stringless form humanoid and distinct amongst the corpses worn by creatures of black and red. The stringless god will be upon the world. Here is the end of a cruel world and the start of one of shining freedom. Rejoice, for salvation has come. What? Towa stiffened as she looked to Keeper and the monsters as if finally seeing their true forms reflected in her pretty eyes. This is not good. They're monsters. What happened? Be obedient, dear priestesses. Your roles have come to completion, and all you should do now is watch and be blessed. Blessing. Okay. As it turns out, surprise, surprise, this stringless god might not be so nice after all. I mean, as we saw in the other ending, but if anything, they're more like an, eldritch abomination, presumably. Towa stumbled backwards to my arms. Gasping twice, she pushed herself back to her feet unsteadily. She was shaking so much. The monsters rose from their prayers and surrounded us, intending to prevent our interference against the manifestation of their god. Shiki was quickly disarmed with a quick strike from a sharp claw. Towa raised her blade and maneuvered herself before us. Perhaps not intending to tear our bodies to pieces, the monsters charged cautiously. Hi-ya! The sounds of claws, teeth, and darkness hitting against the blade echoed in the ritual space. And a good thing Towa is a master samurai. With smooth swordsmanship, Towa parried the monsters and sliced through the darkness as if with butter. Human limbs dropped to the ground from the hosts. Her eyes found the weak spots as she cut through them. However, the monsters landed not just one, but many hits that sent her tumbling back. We were outnumbered. The monsters quickly overwhelmed us. As a well-timed impact sent Towa's sword flying out of her hands, the monsters approached almost kindly. The monsters seemed to whisper sweet words of reassurance, while all I heard was a cacophony of noises, buzzing, dripping in terror. They were happy, but what did I care for them? I heard the angels count down in my ear. 99. That was it. My life was going to end in less than 100 seconds, give or take some factors on the speed of the angel's voice. Was I satisfied? Were you satisfied, Mana? Rather than to fall over dead, perhaps become the shell of a monster as the world turned to hell, I prefer to spit in the face of this madness one last time. I dashed for the ritual sword in the ground. Ignoring the dripping tongue that grabbed at me, I stumbled and scraped my hand against the ground, take the sharp sword into my hand. Without stopping, I plunged down into the abyss. Horrifying chill numbed my hands, my face, my eyes, my entire body, but I didn't look away, nor did I let go of the sword, gripping so tightly that I thought I shattered. I stabbed into the eye of God. I did a plunging attack, it really is Dark Souls. Even though I was only human, even though this god was still in another dimension, gazing at it with these human eyes I was born with, I stabbed with all my might. This was our world. The light was for us humans only. Don't take away our beautiful world. And I cut. A string, a thread, one without colors. Painful black burst past my body as I saw a gate close. The one and only tether between our world and the lightless one snapped, as did the sword. What have you done? The monsters howled in anger, but quickly their noises disappeared. Silence. Dust blew by, tasting of the remnants of the monsters. The darkness of the abyss popped, throwing me upward with a force not strong enough to push me out of the pit. Then I began to fall. 60, 59. I reached out a hand to the sky that I could not see. This was the end. I had a good run. I closed my eyes. Suddenly, I felt a sharp yank on my arm. Mana! Towa was halfway to the pit herself, holding onto my hand in desperation. She clung to the edge of the hole, beginning to slip as she tried to pull me up to no avail due to her insufficient grip to the ground. Let go. It's kind of a cliche, but anyway. Let go, it's like, don't worry about me. Just let me go, and I fall, and I die. What are you talking about? If I let you go, you'll die. You're also gonna fall. I don't care. I'm not letting go of your hand, Mana. Towa, I love you, so let go, alright? I still loved her, even though our red string was severed. The affection flooding in my chest still lingered, strongly, comfortingly, without any interruption. Okay, so it was implied that we got all our strings cut when we met that angel? Quote unquote. Who's that angel? I mean, the angel seems to be the origin of the golden eyes, supposedly. Anyway. I love you too. The type of love where I want to spend a long, long time with you and be happy together, do lots and lots of interesting things together. I barely even got to know all sides of you, but you already stole my heart. So I don't want you to die. I felt myself drawn upward a hand length. Looking toward Towa, I noticed Shiki had also grabbed onto her sister's waist, pulling us to not let her fall. She has no strings. They're gone now. Probably because of that I'll die soon anyways. The world doesn't accept people without strings, and maybe I'll even become a monster. That's why you should just let go. No. Shiki? My sister doesn't want to let go, so I'm not letting go either. But I think I killed your god though? I kind of killed your god? No. I don't need the stringless god. I don't need to be a priestess. I just want to be surrounded by people I love and to be happy. No more arguments, we're pulling you up. Then before my eyes, a string of life formed, attached to my body. Shimmering motes of light gathered and became a line, a thread, a string strong and tangible. Towa's warmth flowed to my body, making me realize how cold I had just been. 3. The countdown stopped, and the angel vanished. With a strong tug, Towa and Shiki pulled me up from the cavity in the ground. We all flopped down the ground in exhaustion for a minute. That's so anime. That's so anime. After catching our breath, we rose to our feet. I mean, good thing mana. Wasn't it mentioned that mana was like very light? I guess. Good thing she was very light. Good thing she doesn't weigh very much at all. I looked toward Towa. You really did it. Love. The string. Where did it come from? It must have been born from the strong emotions formed from my attachment to the world, even as the darkness tried to strip all away from me. Yes, just simply feel. You just simply have strong emotions, and then you'll have the superpower of living. It's easy, I traced the intangible magic thread that floated in the air before me. It makes miracles. Miracles. We're alive and the darkness was gone. Realization suddenly hit that we had confessed our affections for each other. Heat rose to my cheeks. How embarrassing. I love you. I love you too. Alright. Okay, go get a room, you two. Towa embraced her arms around my waist, bringing me into a tight embrace. Really? Her pretty golden eyes filled with affection met mine. My heart skipped a beat as I looked at her, noticing her lips mere centimeters away. And in the meanwhile, Shiki is just a third wheel, by the way. Yes, I love you. I loved her so much that I couldn't believe myself. Alright, there she is. The in-laws are right here, Shiki. I love you, Towa. Can I kiss you? Alright. Smooch? You're smooching now? You're smooching? Alright. I closed my eyes and kissed her. It's funny how this visual novel was really just a Yuri romance plot disguise, by the way. The lips were warm, soft, and sweet. Joe overflowed from my heart with strong, undeniable love. I was the luckiest person in the world at this very moment. And thus we reached a happy ending. We have simply killed God. Easy. A few months passed since the events of the Mikami Itaha incident. I returned to Teto without extending my stay in Shoko's hometown. After all that excitement, I was plenty happy to return to much more mundane cases. Luck smiled upon me with a sequence of not-so-violent investigations these past few months. Sorting through the papers in the office together with Towa, I glanced toward Shiki and had made herself comfortable on the couch. After moving to Teto, Towa became my investigative partner. You two are working hard. Are you interested in growing the agency and joining us, Shiki? And interrupt you two lovebirds? No thank you. I pity the other people here, especially if they're single. It's not that bad, is it? No more kissing in the office. That did happen. Wait, no one told me about that story. What story? I'm being bullied. Her alarm trilled in Shiki's pocket, prompting her to get up. Giving us a little twirl, she brought her hand up to the air to explain. Well, I have a meeting with an editor from the S Publishing Company about the entry I submitted to the short story competition. I'll be heading off, but I'll get that story out of you two later. Will you be alright alone? No need to worry so much about me. I'm already more used to getting around Teto than you are. See you later. With a delicate wave, Shiki hopped out the door. Thus the two of us were left alone with the papers, sorting and filing. We chatted about the little parts of our daily lives like our dinner plans. Ever since we moved together, we started learning how to cook. Wasn't she filthy rich though? Could she at least bring some money with her? Come on, Could you at least sell the mansion? Anyway, the first attempt at a candlelit dinner went disaster. That implies that they need to cook. I guess they don't need to cook. I was just thinking about the conversation they had about how Towa, didn't learn how to cook because she has servants cook for her and everything. But anyway, I was just thinking about that, you know. I mean, she's filthy sticking rich. I mean, does she still stay rich, or like, where did the money go, you know? The first attempt at the candlelit dinner went disastrously, in one part because of a burnt steak, and the other because candles simply were not a good choice of item. Nevertheless, we've been improving our cooking. Spending time together with her, doing the little things together with her, I was happy and content. These are days that I wanted to continue forever. We'll slowly change and grow, but I want to walk with her for a long lifetime. Are we going to the aquarium next weekend? She nodded. I'm looking forward to seeing the penguins with you. Me too. Let's go to lots and lots of places together. Yes, lots and lots of wonderful things. Yeah. Knock knock. And a client had phoned in for an appointment yesterday regarding a case. By the hands of the clock, it looked like they were just on time. Come in. What would tomorrow look like? I glanced at Towa, my partner in many precious ways. Although I trained my face to a client, I couldn't help but smile in my heart. Surely something kind with her. Alright, happy ending. Happy, cheesy, super duper romantic ending, okay. Alright, there you go. So that's, I guess I explored mostly, I guess, Towa's route, you know? So that's all the kind of like outcomes that with Towa. I kind of just stumbled upon her kind of like general routes, but there you go. Happy ending at the end. I'm still thinking about the money though. Like how does the, I mean, she keeps the money, right? That's all I'm saying, you know, don't worry about the bills. Anyway, but yeah. So there you go. There's a bit more to explore to the game though, so I guess we'll see. For example, we still need to check out more about Shiki's kind of like backstory, you know, and her like route, and you know what happens if we get close to her instead. You know, have the power of time travel. I get to choose. Anyway, but yeah. So I guess next time, I guess we'll see what the deal is with Shiki, and I guess we'll see how it turns out.